The Queen is claimed to have had very little do with Charles when the young heir was growing up, with a royal expert claiming Her Majesty often spent more time with her racehorses than attending to her son. The Queen gave birth to Prince Charles in November 1948, just under a year after she had married Prince Philip and was in the thrust of the royal spotlight. She later gave birth to Princess Anne in August 1950 and throughout their early years. Her Majesty was subject to an ever-increasing workload, owing to the declining health of her father, King George VI. As a result, royal biographer Matthew Dennison has claimed Elizabeth was too busy to make her children's joy her priority. He added that the young princess had been busier than her own parents had been during her childhood. Likely because her father was then not expected to ascend the throne, Mr. Dennison has documented Charles and Anne's childhood in his new biography on the Queen, and said the monarch had to split her time between raising her children and serving the crown. He said, as a young mother, Martin Charteris suggested, Elizabeth was always doing her duty. It lay outside the nursery, in the Villa Guardamungia on Malta, and her round of public duties, after her accession. In the red boxes of Whitehall documents, audiences, investitures and the lengthy overseas visits that consumed weeks and months of Charles' childhood. As Queen, Elizabeth was too busy to make her children's joy her priority, busier than her own parents had been during her childhood. This is when the author went on to quip that sometimes the Queen saw more of her racehorses than she did her son. He wrote, she spent time with Charles when she could, at other times, even her racehorses made more pressing claims on her attention. Mr. Dennison went on to note Her Majesty was heavily invested in her role as a senior royal, which took up a lot of her time. He wrote, at the time, her primary responsibility seldom appeared either Charles or Anne. Among predictable results, as Martin Charteris remembered, was that she really had very little to do with Charles's. A view apparently borne out by a letter Elizabeth wrote to one of her mother's ladies-in-waiting, in which she admitted, "It was a great relief to me when church was over, as I've never taken Charles to a service before. It's always been his grandmother who has taken him." When she became Queen, Sir Alan Lascelles stayed on as private secretary, being succeeded by Sir Michael Adine upon his retirement in 1953. Mr. Charteris served as the Queen's assistant private secretary from 1952 to 1972. He then served as private secretary from 1972 until his retirement in 1977. He became a life peer in February 1978. Martin Charteris was Elizabeth's private secretary from 1950 to 1952. When she was the Duchess of Edinburgh and heir presumptive to the British throne, Prince Charles has spoken about his childhood on several occasions and gave a detailed account to Jonathan Dimbleby for his 1994 biography and documentary on the royal. The Prince of Wales, then 46, told the journalist he felt neglected and abandoned when he was a child. Royal biographer Giles Brandreth explained that his resentment at the time lay largely because he was grappling with his failed marriage, having separated from Princess Diana 2 years before. But Mr. Brandreth said Prince Charles' ill feelings towards his childhood completely changed in the years to come. The Queen by Matthew Dennison is available to buy now.